Hey, everybody, welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge. We are at Roosters on Olentangy River Road in Columbus, Ohio, and it is a beautiful April morning. Ohio State through another week of spring practice and a second scrimmage, and Nicole Cox was there to
it
watch
was
it.
amazing. It was.
Bobby Carpenter was there. Austin Ward, me, I was there. And guess who wasn't? There were chips, there were Roosters wings, and there was football. And guess who wasn't there? If you said Justin Zwick.
I defend him.
I missed my daughter's swim lesson while I was gone skiing. It's Saturday mornings. It's a scheduled thing. I felt like I needed to be there with my daughter.
Because he's a good dad. I get it.
Don't you think she would have liked to eat the chips?
Yep, I think she would want some chips.
We don't go this weekend because of Easter, so it's like we had to get that last one in before the break. So it's like, Mom, we're going to eat chips and watch football, or no, we have swim lessons. And
we could have brought her over and thrown her in the hot tub.
Well, listen, I've wanted to throw her in the pool multiple times at these swim lessons, but I digress. But yes, I hated to miss it. I got the video. I got a text from Nicole. Then Bob took a tray home, and I swear I smelled him through the phone. I'm like,
I was like, man, JG's gonna be so sad.
It was a sad Saturday, no doubt.
Oh,
it was a beautiful Saturday.
You know what? Why don't you take a whole pan? I'm like, you don't have to twist my
I
arm.
should have driven down to your house Saturday night.
They were there.
They probably been
They
gone
were literally
as kids.
grazers. I mean, they were out. They made it to.
There's no way they made it to Sunday. No
way.
Well,
they're big trays.
They're a big tray.
That's a hungry household.
That is.
It is, but we went to the Jackets game, so we weren't there all Saturday night to eat on, but we did eat a lot during the day. The tray, they were moved to a smaller, like bowl size receptacle by like Sunday, and then that was gone by probably 1 o'clock. Yeah. So they didn't take it. They didn't last very long.
I'm sure.
But if you would have came when we were at the Jackets hat game, you could have sat there and ate them all by yourself. And we had some sides of ranch.
You gotta have
that's
ranch.
The way to do it.
Left with the squirt
bottle. That is the way to do it.
There's no other way to do it. Yeah,
just eat them and squirt it in your mouth while you're doing it.
Best.
Well, how many wings did the students go through on Saturday?
1,800.
Yeah,
1,800.
Do they keep a number of how many students were there?
I don't know.
I don't know if they keep. Yeah, fair enough.
1,800. It was a good turnout. It looked like
it was. I mean,
I think they've had more previous editions of it, but it was.
Some got blown away, they said, on the way there.
No exaggeration. I almost got blown away to my car. I sidestepped because the wind kind of blew me to the side.
I almost lost the chips. I had to squeeze down hard. That thing, it's a big pan. It's like a sail.
Take it away. Take my shirt. Not the chips.
100%. I wasn't gonna let those things fly away. I mean, I think the lid was on tight, but who knows? I was
out in the parking lot picking chips up, putting them back in.
Terrible. I would have.
Can't take any chances with
the wind. Definitely, there are definitely some chips on the practice field inside the Woody. 100%.
Keeps giving.
When the wind came through, blew everything over.
It's got to be good.
There was also some football there, and I'm curious.
Curious as George?
Curious as George. In fact, I mean, I've covered this for a long time. I've seen a lot of practices. You guys used to participate in them and watch them for a long time. You know how they work. But this was the first time that Nicole, I think, has had this level of opportunity right down there on the field to see how a practice works, how many people it takes to stage one. What did you think?
It was intense. I was surprised. So I've been to a game. I've had good seats at a game. Been very lucky to have really good seats right up front. And for some reason, I felt like they were hitting even harder in practice. And I know they weren't, but it's physical. I was shocked at how hard they were hitting, but it was neat to see. It took some for me. There was a lot of switching around, lots of in and outs of just rotating players, which we're not used to when watching a game. It's usually like the set players in, but it was neat. And it was neat to see the younger freshmen getting their reps in as well. So to kind of see what's up and coming.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to be down, I imagine, on the sideline, seeing how big these guys are, seeing how hard they're hitting. As you say you've been to a game with good seats, but it's a whole different feel, right?
It is. It just,
you almost get more of an appreciation for how these big guys move and how they're able to do.
It was incredible. I mean, it was almost scary. I was like, are they going to run into me? You could hear it too. That's what I was like, gosh, they're hitting really hard for practice, but you have to practice it, get the experience, get the reps.
Oh, they went live. I mean, it's funny. They're like, this is live, right? Except the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Smart man, Ryan.
Except for Brutus, Dave Perkins. Brutus is not live. He is just a cartoon character out here. But it was good to get to see some of those guys, and you've watched Obviously the receiving room's really kind of interesting because Julian and Emeka both aren't practicing. Marvin, I don't know what his rep
And
counts are.
Xavier Johnson.
He's like, Xavier, yeah. You got to get Xavier ready to go again.
Yep.
But, I mean, Marvin's on like, he's like on his load management.
So we have these
portion.
5 plays we want you to run today. And
Yeah, I mean,
be warmed up and focus on those. And
that's what he is. And it's funny when he gets in there, he almost always catches the ball. But
It's like there's a radar on.
it really is. And that's what the coach like, don't let him catch it. They're putting him in the game.
he's in the game. We know he's gonna get a
Exactly.
buck. Yeah.
So, but it's fun, like getting a chance to see him go. But the young receivers, like I know everybody's hyping up Cardell Tate, but like he looks really good. I mean, he's tall, he's long, he runs good routes, he's tough. I know Ryan's been very high on him, especially as far as the fact that he doesn't make the same mistake twice. Like there's just when young guys, that's what you want to see is consistency, is the fact they're always improving and growing, and it's not just same story, different day. Where you couldn't get this play right, you missed this coverage, you keep missing the same thing. So that's not the case, and he's playing well. I would anticipate him getting on the field some this year. I mean, he's good, looks really good. He's made some big plays. Your guy. Maslin Tiger.
That's what I was going to say.
Jaden Ballard. Well, I told him
there's only so many snaps to go around that receiver room. That's the scary thing.
We're calling him Mr. Consistency. I gave him the name. We're going to speak it into existence.
Let's speak it into existence. That'd be big, right?
Heartline said we're not going to be a one-trick pony. We're going to be
just a deep guy. Yeah. We want to make sure we can do everything that we need to.
We can do it all. And so he's had some good practices, man. He's done a good job. He's and it's just interesting watching the maturation of guys like him. Watching Julian Fleming, his maturation kind of going into last year, and everybody's got their own stuff, but just kind of realizing, okay, like football is the main thing. All right. I mean, school is important, but not that, and I'm not diminishing that, but I'm talking more the social elements and not that it's not always important, but putting the proper emphasis on that. I know you saw guys when you were here, like you see them realize, okay, there's some guys that now that are young coming in that are good. Like I just can't walk in.
I'm not cruising along anymore.
Once I don't get the next spot, it's not a line. Yep. I mean, this is a pool where they pick who they want to play. So watching that has been good. But Jaden's played well. And then Sonny Styles is one of the other guys who you can see they're starting to get some packages with get him on the field. And
is he a package guy? Do you think? I mean, he's season time. I know right now they're just working.
It'll be interesting to see because Josh Proctor is playing pretty well. Lathan Ransom's playing well. Cam Martinez is doing a good job in the slot. They had the Jihad Carter injury. If you're like, you got to be on the field, like he's going to play, and he's going to play a good amount. Does that mean he's quote the starter? I don't know what that means. Yeah. But as a sophomore, he is going to play a lot of snaps. So I think it'll be fine with what he's able to do. Those guys just kind of stuck out in my mind of what they've been able to do, and then probably Kenyatta Jackson too. He's been good, and maybe that's as much a function as.
I was going to ask you the offensive line.
Fryer's doing really well. Fryer's good.
Saturday was an adventure in that.
It was.
That's because you hear coming out of that stuff. It's like, oh man, a lot of tackle for losses, a lot of this or that.
Well, I mean,
touching the quarterback.
Jay-Z, like you
Jay-Z
have these every spring. Every
spring
there's going to
100%.
be one of these days where the offensive line
multiple days.
You're
trying to put things together and figure it out.
It's not uncommon, and I was showing. So Nicole and I were down there in the end zone watching back, and she saw Kenyatta Jackson make the play. Lathan Ransom blitz. He's got a wide open hole to go blow it up. And
that one he
destroyed Chip Trainham. I'm like, yes, it was concerning for the day. The offensive line didn't win. Is it a panic for the long term? This isn't uncommon. It happens. It's okay.
Well, it happens
to lose a couple
and
days.
And you have talented guys over there. I mean.
Now,
we talk about for going against.
You can't lose every day, right?
Well, you can't lose every day because then becomes the standard, and you're losing.
That's not a standard.
No, it's not a standard we want to see here. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have your ups and downs. It's just when there's people involved, students involved, then it wants to blow up. You guys get to watch the whole practice, and oh man, I feel like every year,
what's going on?
Our D line's going to be the end all be all this year, and then it doesn't really ever.
They are pretty good. I mean,
yeah, they are. But
Mike Hall, pretty good. The two ends, pretty good. Kenyatta, I think, has the capability to be there.
Yeah.
He's getting his confidence up right now. I'll tell you that. Wow. It's been a great confidence booster for him. Like I said, Fryer, you go watch. I would like to watch one-on-ones because that eliminates. We can work on stunts and do that and all these different things. But can you block or tackle somebody when you know that it's a one-on-one situation? There's nothing else. We can teach the other things. And Fryer, like, it's great watching him go. Like, he'll go against JT. JT will take 2 reps. They go down. Sawyer will take some on the left, and Sawyer will bounce down to the right. And then he goes against Jack. And, like, those guys understand that they're getting their best work against him, and he's getting their best work against them. And he's held his own against those guys who I would define as pretty darn good football players. So I'm less concerned about him. The right side, on the other hand, there's a opportunity for growth, Justin.
Well, who are we rotating through over there? Who they show on
Zen
on
Mahalski,
Saturday?
but then he got
he got hurt.
Then he got injured during practice. So then it's more of an
That's
issue
not good.
as we talk about it that there's a, and Ryan Day, these are his words, they're not mine, although I would echo them, that there is a significant drop off to the twos on the offensive line. And that is, if you're going to have a concern, that's it. I think Ohio State can put together the top 5 and be very good, or at least get done what they need to. But when you took Zen Mahalski out, then and Donovan Jackson was also on some load management on Saturday,
Which is good. Get some of the young
do
guys
that
in.
for sure.
100%.
Yes.
Then it becomes another situation because Tegra Shabola has to go take all the ones, and then you start getting they went right to a true freshman with the twos at right tackle, and
Not so bueno.
did not look.
Let's say it again. True freshman.
Yeah.
Like that.
No, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
And they're
That you
going
struggle.
to look like that. And then next year we're going to be talking about him being the greatest player. You know how I feel about those
Fingers
things.
crossed.
I do want to bring up one thing I did notice during practice, and I had never seen this before, and I'm sure everybody knows what these are, but I said to Austin, I was like, what is on top of his helmet?
I don't know where my son asked that. I mean,
Tyler Williams was wearing one of those crown
I saw a
protectors.
video. Yeah.
I feel like everyone should wear one of those. Why not? It's like the backup of backup plan. It's protecting you so that you can go that much longer playing the sport and keeping your head safe.
AJ and Schlegs, they actually said they wanted to tape a 10-pound weight to the front to make it more
Well, they
balanced.
get their neck workout as
More-
well while they're in practice.
heavier cannonball coming in there.
I mean, AJ's helmet used to be so loose. That's where the bar across his nose comes from.
Well, he also never wore a mouth guard or tightened his chin strap or put any air in it. I mean,
You liked it when
the Rydell guy probably would not endorse his helmet
No
wearing.
trainer
technique.
was pumping air in and saying, "All right, you're good to go." There's like AJ.
You watch him in the NFL. I remember Courtney's like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, he said she doesn't wear a mouthpiece. And I'm looking at him chew gum during the game. Like, I would chew gum during shell days, but if we were actually going to hit each other, so that's why your teeth are all the same length. I mean, you're like, they all been filed down over years of just.
I told Nicole there was no way that you would wear one of those.
No.
Why? Why?
Some of the guys the guys have tried them. They don't really like the way they feel. I guess I don't know. It's a feel thing, Nicole.
But if it's going to
for
protect
less.
your head to keep you stronger, to keep you safer from getting concussions.
So I'm wearing a helmet. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
I
know.
feel like concussions can be such a freak thing that thing comes off in games, so you might as well practice with it not on.
I don't know. It does. Is there an element where maybe it's giving you less impact and stuff? I don't know. I talked to some of the guys. They have those like collars and stuff. You see some of the guys in the NFL wearing too that are supposed to do something for your neck when you hit and do something to your brain. I don't know. I mean, maybe I would just have to see stats on it. I know that there's some stuff that's good. I don't know if it's like it's not like having an airbag in a car, Nicole.
Yeah.
Like the seatbelt's there, but then also the airbag. I don't think it's quite to that level.
Okay. Because I just feel anything to keep everyone healthier. Because you guys are so hard on your bodies when you're
Standing out
hitting
there.
over and over again and just the brain in general. I mean, with all the things that can happen long term.
I think when they initially put those out, Ohio State had more. They've never had many guys wearing them, but I think there was only one on Saturday. I think a year or two ago they had, 4 or 5.
I don't think they don't look that good either, Nicole. I mean,
It doesn't matter about
you're a
that.
slave.
Good
You're a
play, good,
slave to
Nicole.
fashion. You know what it's all about. You'll
I get
sacrifice
that.
anything.
But if it's going to protect your head and keep you healthier and sharper in the long run, you know what I mean? Just,
These are young 20-year-olds. They're not thinking about.
No way.
oh, you're right. Again, I aged myself trying to protect.
we
what's
are all old,
going
and
on.
we all understand what you're saying because,
Yeah.
looking back, like, oh, that's probably smart. But in the time, they're like, I'm not wearing this.
Yeah.
What else did you notice there, Nicole?
It was neat to watch Darren Brown. I'd never seen him actually, throw the ball and just be out there. So it was neat to see
Was it
him
weird
in
to see him in
action.
a number 33?
Yeah,
jersey?
Devin in the 33 is. It's an
It's going to
interesting
take
look.
some time getting used to.
Now, why? because most
Because
quarterbacks are.
Because it's so ugly.
Single digit or 18, like a teen.
It's usually 18
can't
and under,
even,
19 and under.
If he in 3 years was an NFL quarterback, he wouldn't even be allowed to.
Now he
You're
can.
not.
They moved that up to the
Can he now?
quarterbacks.
They
For
changed it.
quarterbacks?
It's all.
You
It's
can
all.
wear, okay.
You should be allowed to wear whatever number you want. I'm such a number person, like lucky number. And I feel like that's
What's
very
your lucky
important.
number?
I would have to say 4.
You can't
In
just, I would
14.
have to say 4.
No,
Like,
I would
if you have
choose
a lucky
4.
number, mine is 12.
I would choose
It's not
4
very
and
lucky.
14
Okay.
are my favorite numbers.
4
I
and
like that.
14.
It's good. I usually play those in roulette, so I feel like that's a win for everybody. But yeah, it looks weird. What looks weirder is when the pocket was getting collapsed on him in like a second and a half. That was. I'm like, I don't even. And that's what you said with the quarterbacks. Like, who's looking better? I'm like, I don't even know how
Couldn't
I
even
can
tell because it was just
fairly
so,
assess anybody who was behind the second line on Saturday because it reminded me a lot of when you were going through stuff. Your, I guess, sophomore, your third spring there. There was a fairly precipitous drop off. Not all that different than now.
Yeah, no.
And it's like, okay, snap, 1,000. Well, get the ball out.
Oh, and then it's like you get back there and you actually have 3 seconds and you're
Yes.
rushing everything anyways because you're just so used to rushing everything.
Well, it's another benefit of the way that Ryan Day is managing the quarterback battle in the spring, that they're rotating, and it's really been even. Like, if it goes 1s and 2s, then they just flip it for the next time through the drill. So like Devin Brown may get with the 1s, then Kyle McCord goes out with the 2s, then he just stays out there. The 1s come back out, he's in that. It's been
Pretty smooth.
right down
50-50,
the middle,
yeah.
and so you're getting that opportunity. I think that has helped in the evaluation. Saturday, not really. Like, you couldn't tell once they went team because there was no way that you could run any play whatsoever. Although the run blocking was decent, but
Run blocking was better. And,
but we're not going to be looking at the quarterbacks for that. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. They had a couple
boy.
Q runs in there.
I
did
do
see a couple.
feel in practice they should have their last names on the back of their practice
Oh,
jerseys
jeez.
because there was so much switching around, and I had my sheet with all the numbers, but I'd
last
look
year
up,
to
the
this
play
year,
was over.
yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, what's
From last
happening?
year to this year, there's a number of guys that changed numbers. And it took me, believe me, the first couple practices, I'm like, who is that? Who is this? Like, what do they do? Like, and you got to figure it all out again.
I give you guys so much credit. I mean, Austin, for what you do, like day in and day out, there is a lot of moving parts.
It's a lot of
there.
roosters. That's give them a lot of credit for that.
We love them for that, but
Wow.
but just watch. There's so much going on so quickly, and then I asked Austin a question, and a play happened, and Bill looked back and was like, "Did you see that?" I was like, "He didn't," because I was talking. I'm sorry.
I knew what happened.
You're able
It's
to
just
multitask.
there's
Yeah.
so much going
It
on
was
so
Lathan's
quickly.
blitz. I didn't miss it. I've got peripheral
You
vision.
can do it.
Oh,
all.
that was a nice shot, man. He timed that up really well.
And then I talked like that was the play that everybody was talking about after the scrimmage.
Of course, the one I was asking you a question about my sheet.
Nicole, I saw it. I'm good. And what I may not have seen about initially, like Josh Fryer was over there, like we hadn't seen one of these in a while. They had no chance picking it up. Donovan Jackson wasn't out there. Enoch Vamahi and Josh Fryer just like, okay, that didn't work. I hadn't seen a ton of like blitz looks, Bob, like because Jim Knowles has played it pretty.
They've done a lot of that's usually the way it goes. You put in most of your coverage stuff first. You put in a couple blitzes, but now like, all right, they've got
You get your base stuff kind of down. And
yeah, they're putting in some of the
feeling
stuff
good about
now where it's like, hey, here's 3 blitzes based upon formation, and it's good. It's been forcing Cody Simon and Gabe Powers, when they're out there, the middle linebacker, to call it. And sometimes like you just pick the best thing you can because it's not a clear picture and there's motions and stuff. So forcing those guys to understand what's going on. But in doing that also, yes, it creates an added element for the offensive line and running backs who maybe haven't necessarily been quite as versed in picking up the blitzes over the last couple of
I'm
weeks.
going to just ask you on that. I mean, you're talking about a secondary blitz and depending on formation, this and that. Is the Mike, that linebacker, the one calling it for those guys? Or, it's a safety-driven defense. Or are they more,
It is, but like
is it back and forth? How do you see that going down?
I think a lot of times it's the Mike because there's some options there.
So the Mike is the quarterback of the defense.
Yeah,
They are
it's-
calling everything, kind of getting guys in this.
As far as,
right
okay, you've got,
situations.
2 calls here, call A, call B, and then C is like check out. If it's
Yeah.
something we don't like,
Yeah.
we're just going to play coverage.
Mhm.
But the Mike, hey, this is what it is. They check. The safety knows what they're doing on it. Because most of the time it's doing stuff more for the linebackers than the safeties. A lot of times,
Yeah.
if the safeties have been in it, they've been kind of in it. So, we'll see what kind of happens with that.
Well,
But
it's just interesting, does that allow those secondary guys to play a little more free if we have somebody back there who maybe, isn't really sure when he's supposed to be blitzing or not blitzing or when they, are supposed to be doing certain things. So it's just interesting to see what that, linebacker room or those guys, what they have on their plate there.
Nicole, what else is in your notebook?
Well, I just wrote no offensive line starters practicing. But
Practicing
my
was at the end.
That was how
I
it
thought you
felt.
just meant there's no starters on the offensive
well,
line.
which was different. It was such a neat experience because I'm used to watching games. I'm not used to watching practices. And when they would practice down in the red zone, like
Far side.
there were people all around, and it was almost like we were like circled around them, and they were just playing. It was just intense. It was great. It
It's
was
kind of
really
dangerous
neat to
too.
see.
That's why you keep your eyes on the field. So when you're
Never
talking
take your eyes off of it.
it's my boys' rule, and they've did a good. I've had Cullen there last week, RJ there this week, and it's like, don't you ever turn your back to the football.
Never.
Yeah.
I mean, you see enough of those things on Instagram of reporters just being
Getting
just
wiped out.
yeah.
And what's in this basket over here, Nicole?
We have some onion feathers.
See what-
That would
Yes.
be the appetizer Tuesday this week, you guys.
Field. Love it. Is
It's
that
$3 appetizer
With the pluckin
Tuesday?
sauce,
The
which
pluck-
is
the
so
pluck
good.
sauce.
Is
That's
that what
right.
we've determined?
Yeah,
I
good.
you
I
know
thought
what?
it had
It's gone
something
through a
to
couple
do with
different
the.
names.
Yeah, I
Figure
thought
out
it
it.
used to be like a
does
tail
the
feather
plucking
sauce.
sauce?
feather
Is
sauce?
that
It was the
is-
pluckin sauce from back when
Is that
Nicole
like-
Cox bartended and
back in the
served
day, huh?
back in the day.
Okay.
And I just asked that question the other day too. I was like,
Well,
guys, have we renamed
I
this?
think when we had it a
Well,
couple
whatever
months
it is,
ago,
it's
I
delicious.
It's
I
the
called it
feather
something
sauce.
that-
Feather.
yeah,
I
was
thought
like,
it had something to do with a feather.
Is it? I mean, is it like
I
a
called it.
spicy ranch? Is that kind of what we're going with there?
Yes.
It's got a little bit of the horseradish.
Got a
I
little
believe.
horseradish in it. Yeah.
and a little taco zing, if that.
Ooh,
I like
that.
It's good. Whatever it
It's
is.
really good.
It's,
It's one of my favorites.
Yes.
What's the one denoted on the top of it? Is that to let us know that it's super special?
Super fresh.
made fresh today.
It was the first batch of the day.
Probably.
First, number one in your heart.
That
and
might
in
have
the
just
program.
been a check, like
$3
yep,
all
plucking
day
sauce in
long.
there.
Tuesday.
Appetizer Tuesday. They will be $1, $2, $3.
Yes.
Appetizer Tuesday hasn't caught on yet.
It's a
We're
Thursday.
trying. We're
I
still
like a
working it.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
I'm really
Tuesday.
working for it.
It's good.
I like it a lot.
I'm gonna
love
push it through
Yeah,
at
you're
least
gonna
in
just
the
keep
Horseshoe
going.
Lounge. That's what it's gonna be.
That's
known
all that
as.
matters.
Austin, thanks for letting me tag along on Saturday.
Of
I
course.
loved every minute of it.
Of
It was
course.
awesome.
I'm glad that you could make it. We're gonna get you out to some more so that you can get up close and see some of that hard hitting and work through the roster sheet.
I'll study it ahead of time.
I showed her how an old trick of the pros to fold it in
One and a
half.
half.
Ooh.
There you go.
See all the names.
That's what we were doing when that awesome play happened.
How do you keep track of all these numbers? Fold it.
Oh man.
Yeah, as Bob said, this spring's been a little bit tougher. There were guys that changed. I think I'm getting pretty hang of this new roster.
Yeah.
There was one early on. I remember we didn't need help. Sonny Styles had changed to 6.
What was he?
He was 20,
Okay,
Mhm.
that's right.
and Jerry sort of stood up on the bench and was like, "Hey guys, there's a mistake on there. There's a change of numbers. Sonny's 6, but he's got his jersey rolled up." And we were like, "Yeah, we know who
Yeah, we know
6 is."
you're saying.
You can
We're
kinda
not
tell,
having a
yeah.
We
hard
can tell from.
not having a hard problem identifying where Sonny Styles is. He's easy to see out there. But yeah, it was great to have Nicole out there. And what do you got this week? Just come in and watch the Masters at Roosters this week.
That
We
is
got
happening.
Tonight, you got the big game going. You guys.
Yes, we always do.
Yeah.
And so people can come in and watch that. And just Appetizer Tuesday. And we're just getting to almost summer, which
Well,
is exciting. End of school, graduation parties, all those good
Oh,
things.
I'm
80
sure the
degrees
grad
tomorrow.
parties, great catering and pickup. By the way, important programming note: Roosters is closed on Easter because they're
Yes.
selfish and want to spend time with their families and not us. Remember that.
You guys, I think it's one of the greatest things about our company that we want our team to be able to spend time with their families.
What
What about
so that
the
we can
people
be
that are used to coming in on Sundays that might be starving outside?
We feel bad about that part
They can
for
order
sure.
food on Saturday
Mhm.
and reheat it.
That is
Yes.
good. The chips were good. Without
Catering.
even,
Reheating is always good.
Chips.
But if you keep a happy team, then they give great service
That is
because they're
true.
happy. It's a
Everybody's happy.
cycle, you know?
And then
I
they
love
can can make up for it the next day and come hang out at the Roosters on
Yes.
Olentangy River Road.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect solution.
Works for me.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Nicole's going to get out of here and get on with her day. We're going to talk a little bit more about Ohio State spring camp when we come back into Roosters and the Horseshoe Lounge. It's a fun, casual joint.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Hey everybody, welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge. We are at Roosters. It is Monday, one day before Appetizer Threes Day, which is
Threes Day.
onion petals.
It really should be
Onion feathers.
Threes Day,
Onion
Thursday.
feathers. What did I say?
No,
Petals.
I just
it's
bashed them
onion
together.
petals, but with the feather sauce.
Oh, thank goodness you're here.
Is
Rooster
it the
called
onion feathers
Roosters.
with petal sauce?
Roosters.
Well, I don't know, but there's feather sauce.
Oh, no.
I thought is what she just said.
We've lost the plot.
We've already lost it.
Birm's,
Daggone it.
Birm's
Birm
back.
shows up, and that's what happens.
I apologize.
Yeah. Ohio State got a commit on Sunday night. I guess the
Hey, I
sky's
heard it
not
was a
falling.
big one.
Yeah, it's one they've been waiting for a little bit. Running back James Peoples, 4-star from Veterans Memorial High
He's
School
my
in San
Peoples.
Antonio. Really great kid, man. I mean, it's one of these things
People's
where
back.
you talk about it. I've talked about
Do
it.
you know that's close to LaGrange?
It's
Hmm.
in the same state for sure. But I don't know that.
J.K.
I don't-
Dobbins is
I don't
from
think it's
LaGrange.
actually that close.
LaGrange is
Dobbins.
between like San
It's a big-
Antonio
big
and
state.
Houston,
Oh,
so
Big state.
it's a couple hours away. Actually.
J.K. Dobbins is from LaGrange.
And did you talk to James?
Laurinaitis?
No, Peoples.
I did not.
If you talk to
I
this
could
kid-
just said hi as he
if
walked
you talk
by.
to this kid and you see him, the comparison to J.K. Dobbins is instant, and it's
Well, I love
impossi-
J.K. He was
impossible
one of my
not
faves.
to make. He is a really great young person, military family from Ohio.
Oh, so perfect.
Um,
so his family's from Ohio.
family's from Cleveland.
Okay, that makes all the sense.
So
So he's a Buckeye.
he was born on Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. He's
Das Boot.
he's just a really good kid, and Ohio State's still going to look for another running back in this class if they can find one. There is local kid from Pick North, Sam
Hopefully
Williams
Tom
Dixon.
Herman didn't get fired over this commit.
I don't think he will, but that happens.
Well, the last Ohio guy who moved to Texas and grew up there, and then committed back here and became a really good player. There was a lot of
a little Garrett
drama.
Wilson. Right, that's a throwback to Garrett Wilson's.
Little drama.
I actually thought
I told Garrett he better be pretty good given all the stuff that happened. I think he lived up to the billing.
Turned out he was. I actually wrote that there was something similar to this recruitment as with Jackson Smith and Jigbas in my mind. A kid that, I mean, he's a 10th ranked running back in the country according to Rivals. He's a little bit higher in some other places, but generally speaking, he's a pretty well respected player. But he's not like when Jackson came to Ohio State and made his first visit. He was like the 51st ranked wide receiver in the country, and then went home and committed the next day. And people were like, who is this guy? And then all of a sudden, his ranking went crazy over the next year and a half. And I think you could see that sort of ascent with James because his tape is really, really good. The competition's not as good in San Antonio as it would be in Dallas or somewhere else, but the kid really is a big win for Ohio State. Huge win for Tony Alford after losing Jordan Marshall from Cincinnati Moeller 2 weeks ago.
This is good though because I didn't know he's a Texas kid. And guys that commit out of state early. I mean,
worried. Can you hold on?
Well, Hartline's the only one that I feel like he gets in and like it's
over.
He vampires them and then they can't go anywhere else. They're like locked in.
You're locked in.
on. He's locked on the Bucks.
This visit for James was different. Like, I mean, he was there with his grandparents.
Oh, the
He was
whole
there-
family. Like, yeah.
These are people from, like I said, his mom's family's from Youngstown.
They're very family oriented people.
Yeah,
Mom's family's from Youngstown.
It's
Dad's
not
from
good, Bob. It's great. It's not
great.
good. It's great.
Elite family.
Elite family. Dad's from Cleveland, mom's from Youngstown, their side. The whole family there. He said that one of the things that really
Felt like home.
stood out to him was the fact that he got to take his grandparents around Ohio State where they grew up, dreaming of getting a chance to see that.
Those are the guys when you get from out of state.
Sounds like
I
he's
feel
a
a
lock.
lot better about the
Feel
situation.
pretty good about him staying through.
It's not going to stop Alabama and Oklahoma and
Oh,
other
yeah.
schools from trying to recruit him. I mean, Oklahoma was the runner-up. DeMarco Murray, the running backs coach, is pretty well known and pretty good coach. So
I like Demo. He's good, dude.
Nick Saban's been trying to get involved, but Ohio State just has to.
Well, he's an Ohio guy. So people always ask, well, how did they get this guy? I'm like, and all of a sudden, like, well, your grandparents were from here,
Right,
whatever.
he went to practice. His grandparents showed up, and blah blah blah.
So when you have guys from out of state, not all that different than the Red Viper of Vegas.
You need to have ties. You need
Tate
to have
Martell.
ties. You need to have
the
ties.
Red Viper of Vegas.
Oh, Tate's grandfather was a big Ohio State
Yeah.
fan.
But they were from Ohio. Like, but when you have people, and that's one of the great things about it, I tell them, alumni are everywhere. Boom. How do you know? Because you got folks from here that are living in Texas, that this is their family. They're passionate about the great state of Ohio and elite family, elite kid.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
JK committed without ever visiting Ohio State back in
That's-
February 2016.
That's
That's big time. Without visiting.
Yeah.
He didn't visit Ohio State for another 11 months after he committed.
I mean, was Jeremy Birmingham writing articles about how they may lose him then?
No.
I mean, the kid committed and then didn't ever visit
And
for 11 months?
that's when Herman took the job at Texas
Yeah.
and tried to get him to flip, but he, his first visit to Ohio State was his official visit in November
It's
of
pretty
2016.
Could you
So
imagine committing somewhere you've never been and then not
Stay
going
in
there
there.
until you're official.
Committed in February, didn't visit until November.
That's pretty nuts.
And then, so I met a kid last week from Dallas.
You into meeting boys
linebacker,
now too?
Peyton Pierce.
Really like him. He loves James. I think we talked about that last week. So hopefully we can get him locked in.
I mean, if you're talking like who's the next big fish out of the state or out of the region to commit, it's probably Peyton Pierce. He visited Tennessee this past weekend. He's going to visit Notre Dame again next weekend. Those trips were already bought and paid for heading into so
to speak.
So to speak. Yes.
So I mean, I mean, directly.
Yeah, like they'd
already bought them.
Yeah, plane tickets.
They already had them. They're non-refundable.
Wait, are they unofficial visits?
They are. The Notre Dame unofficial visit, the next one coming up, that trip was purchased back in like January after
James was still the coach.
when James was still there. So
what a coincidence.
he visited Notre Dame, got to hang out with Laurinaitis for the first time, immediately scheduled the next visit, and then James was gone the next week. So
what airline are they on that they can't just get?
I
their
assume
flight
it's
credits
American.
back?
They're flying out of Dallas. It's probably American. So American's not as
It's a
friendly.
pretty big Southwest hub. I mean,
Dallas is not as friendly.
It's not. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. And then I met another kid.
There's a lot of.
I met another kid from Dallas, from South Oak Cliff, linebacker. He's a 2025 guy.
I know.
Wow, is he scooping you on the
No,
2025 guys,
name,
Birm?
his name is just
Eluding you?
Yeah,
He really liked it here. He said he's coming back for an official
Which-
for sure, but I don't know if that's
Well, that's a
real.
year from now. So I mean, if it's 25, they're going to have to maintain that for the next year. James
I'm
Laurinaitis.
maintaining.
James Laurinaitis is so similar to Brian Hartline in the way that they connect to kids and the way that
Connected young dudes.
when you've been here, when you've walked the walk, when you can walk through the hallways of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center and see pictures of the coach that is
Said he let
recruiting you.
James hold his buckus.
Yeah, I mean-
said it was heavy, almost dropped it.
James has
Yeah.
probably lost a little bit of weight since.
No, not James, the kid. The guy, the player.
That's
the
not
guy
the player.
was.
But
kid
Buckeyes
was-
as a trophy.
Yeah,
Brian.
I know. I thought
That
he
wasn't
said
James walks around with it.
I thought he said James
That's how he
was
stays
holding
in
his
shape
football.
now.
No, he said he let James pick it up. I mean, I would never pick up any of those trophies. I mean, they're not mine.
They are very heavy as well.
But they are heavy. But I'm like, if you want it, you're allowed to go pick your own podium off. Like I watched Archie one time kick over one of those glass things and grab his Heisman.
Sounds like something Archie would do.
Just walked in. And,
Give me my trophy.
Give me my trophy.
You're not letting me watch all of practice. I'm out of here.
But
Give me this Heisman.
he's like, James, let me hold it. He goes, I almost dropped it. It was heavy. I was like, well, it's a good thing you didn't. But
bottom line, recruiting is going up. There's a lot of
narrow up.
A good trajectory.
There's
So
a.
you think that the panic of 2 weeks ago was overblown?
I think all panic is overblown.
What about the pandemic?
Also overblown.
Recruiting pandemic.
Also overblown. The Pantone-demic is still in full effect. But here's the real. When you're
I
talking,
don't think he should call it that.
probably not. But it's I'm workshopping.
It's
it all.
workshopping, yeah.
You have the recent commitments of Mark Nave, the offensive lineman from Toledo. Then you have Deontay Armstrong and Devontae Armstrong,
The twins.
the twins from Lakewood St. Edward. When you add the commitment from James Peoples, there's a lot of progress being made with Mylon Graham, a 5-star wide receiver from New Haven, Indiana, so out near Fort Wayne. I would not be surprised if he's committed by the end of spring. Jeremiah McClellan.
They got a 5-star from Fort Wayne?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's going to break Notre Dame's heart not to get him.
Jeremiah McClellan, wide receiver from St. Louis, who was same high school as Cam Brown and Cam Babb.
Oh, nice.
Christian brothers.
Wait, Cam Brown went to the same high school as Cam Babb?
Yeah,
For a little
teammates.
I didn't know
bit.
that.
He transferred.
They're the same
in.
class.
Yeah, that's right.
And best friends.
Jeremiah McClellan's his name. I wouldn't be surprised if that one's
You
over
missed
by
that
the end of
day. They were
spring.
here together.
I didn't know that they went to high school together, though.
Yeah.
Cam with a K and Cam with a C.
What's going to be
They've known
interesting?
each other since 8th grade. Apparently, the first time they met, they wanted to tell a story
Like a
about how
girlfriend
there were
story.
some girls that they were going to meet.
That's the way it always works.
And
Ladies.
I don't know.
For the ladies.
We'll have to put a pin in that and come back to that conversation.
That's how they.
Sorry, we're
yeah,
cutting
eighth
Birm
grade.
off because he's giving me
It's cool.
more information.
And then you have Jeremiah McClellan and potentially on the board by the end of spring. What's going to be interesting is with the commitment of James Peoples, how that impacts the next move at running back, because Tony Alford desperately wants to in this class of 2024. But because of Sam Williams-Dixon over at Pick North, who's an athlete and could play defense, could play in the slot.
He's the one from West Holmes?
Yes.
Gosh, look
Ooh,
at my
West
num-
Holmes.
So he
That was
just
mine.
Big John.
So he just
boy.
transferred in. So he just transferred. He just transferred in to pick north.
Inserted himself into pick north.
Yeah, I mean it was a long move.
Yep.
But he's
It really is, because West Holmes is all the way on the
It's
east side.
way up there.
yeah, that is West Holmes. I went to visit him at West Holmes in January. I was like, where the hell
Gotta
am
be careful.
I?
A lot of
It
horses.
was
Horses running around. up
very
there.
bizarre. But he can play other spots. He can play in the slot. He can play defense potentially. What will be interesting is how Alford is
Am I going to
able
have to steal Chamberson and take 2 years to convince him to play defense?
probably, but probably not. I mean, he's really good with the ball in his hands, and but you just need more guys. So
Yeah.
The leverage that Alfred now has with people's in the mix with a guy like Jordan Lyle down at St. Thomas Aquinas in Florida, or DeJuan Williams from Baltimore St. Francis, who visited last week and is coming back for the spring game. Like, there's going to be some conversations, I think, in the next 2 weeks to say, hey, we've got one.
Got one.
What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Sam Williams-Dixon will have a spot in this class as long as he wants it. If it's 2 or 3 at the running back position, fine, but they're certainly moving up. And again, the idea that they were struggling in recruiting is farcical at best anyway. They were
farcical.
They only had 4 commitments, and one of them happens to be the best player in the country, Jeremiah Smith, so they were still ranked as a top 5 class in the country. It was just a small group. Now you got 7. I could see probably 13 or 14, maybe even 13 or 14 by the end of spring football. And the next real big domino
In the next 2 weeks,
there's a lot of
holy
there's a
cow.
lot of movement. Maybe 5. Maybe let's go
Maybe
12.
pump the brakes a
Let's
little
go
bit.
12. Let's
Better
go,
to under-promise
If
and
they-
over-deliver,
if
bro.
they
I mean,
get
Yes.
10 dudes in the
Everybody's
next,
committing.
let's go
in the
12.
next
next
2
10 days,
weeks.
that's a lot of
Bert,
ball.
can you handle
not
10
10.
dudes in
no,
2
they're,
weeks?
no, they're up to 7
That's a
now.
lot of dudes.
They're up to 7 now. So I'm thinking
Especially with one
you
from
could
West
finish
Holmes.
spring by
Man,
12.
yeah.
You could finish spring with 12.
All right, but you were saying double, and that, like,
Well,
you couldn't even take time to be on the show. You
Yeah.
need to be writing
there's
analysis
We're
about it.
visiting with them in high school parking
the
lots.
next big domino is Aaron Nolan, the quarterback from Langston Hughes High School in Georgia, who was offered by Ohio State on Saturday after he visited for the spring student appreciation day.
Oh, he was here?
Yeah, so that's Jelani Thurman's quarterback in high school. Ohio State really likes him. And
I met a young feller from Ashland, too, who's, I think, a freshman. sophomore.
Nathan Bernard is that kid is 6'4.5", already 220. Like
He looks like he
Big
was.
kid.
If you would have told me he was going to be a senior, I would have believed
Oh,
it.
high
really?
school
Is it
freshman.
freshman?
That's the next one in Ohio
Ashland
for sure.
Arrows.
But Aaron Nolan will make his announcement on Saturday, so that's going to be a quick turnaround. In Ohio State, Texas A&M, Miami, Arkansas, like there's a lot of teams.
and
Alabama's
he's from
offered.
Georgia?
He's from Georgia.
But Georgia's not in the mix?
Georgia has a commitment from Ryan Puglisi, a quarterback up in New.
No Bama? No LSU? No Florida?
Alabama's offered, but Alabama has a quarterback commit from Julian Sayin, a 5-star quarterback from
I
California.
like our chances then. You don't want to go down to A&M.
A&M already has a
With
quarterback.
With all the dope smoking a-holes down there.
There's a couple schools that he mentioned that, might have some nice bags walking
Hey, what?
around.
They don't do that.
A&M already has a quarterback committed. Alabama has a quarterback committed. Georgia has a quarterback committed. All these schools are sniffing around. Georgia's also going to probably still be the team that Dylan Raiola ends up playing for.
What is?
Dylan Raiola, the
Where's
former
he?
Ohio
Nebraska,
State.
you said?
gonna end
No, I think he's going to end up at Georgia. It's in my personal
Really?
opinion. And that could, that's the thing. Ohio State was like not wanting to necessarily feel compelled to offer Nolan because there's still a lot of dominoes to fall if you weren't certain that, hey, this is the guy. But obviously they felt that way and they offered, and I think he'll pick Ohio State on Saturday. So
They felt like that a Dodgers fan
Yeah.
at the game went out and
this kid,
proposed on the field.
Man.
aside from the
He's
fact
gonna
that
feel
he's
that this morning, isn't he?
aside from the fact that Air is left-handed, I think there's a lot of really similar traits to C.J. Stroud coming out of high school. Just
The spin is different.
I honestly
It's like
posited,
it's like the Western.
Ask those receivers.
I
They
posited
might say
on a-
no on that.
on a recent recruiting podcast that I was like, I wonder if he was right-handed if they would have offered him 2 months ago. Like, because
There's
it is
something to
weird.
it.
It's number one from a ball spin. It's weird. Number two, just
You gotta flip your offense.
coaching it. It's weird because you're right-handed. If you're trying to teach someone to do things backwards, have you ever tried to teach someone else to tie a tie? It's weird.
No, it's
You know?
I mean,
You have to do it.
I haven't, but I imagine it's weird.
Yeah. Well, you got 2 girls.
Yeah,
so you don't
no, I
have
don't
to.
have to worry about that.
My mom could tie a tie, but she tied it on herself.
Well,
Yeah, and then you have
Or
to
no.
leave it loose and then
Hold
put
on.
it over him. Right?
No, she could tie it on me. My dad could never tie it on him. Like I couldn't tie a tie on someone else. Like if you cut,
I'd
if you
stand
got,
behind
if
him.
you got your that's
Yeah,
stacking,
that's the weird-
I'm
stacking
taller.
dudes.
Well, yeah, but I don't
Stacking
mind
dudes.
that. I mean,
So that was
it's all about the tie at that point.
yeah, but tying a tie on someone else.
We
is weird.
feel good about the feller from Langston Hughes.
I think it's moving in that direction. It's
Man, a lefty. I don't know if I can get behind him.
Their ball looks so pretty coming off their hands. And
Yeah.
have you ever seen this where
disagree. I think it's the only sport where left-handers look weird.
But they say like the throwing motion looks outside of Tim Tebow. It looks more natural for every other person.
John Elway the best left-handed quarterback?
He was right-handed.
Steve Young.
Steve Young. That's who I meant. Sorry, I knew it was out west.
I'm gonna say no. John
No, I knew
Elway
it was out west.
not the best
Yeah,
left-handed
Steve Young.
quarterback of
Yeah,
all time.
and I'll tell you,
Steve Young, Mike Vick.
I
That's
watched some
pretty much
highlights
about
of
it.
Steve Young. He was legit back in the day.
Of course, dude. He can run.
Yeah.
Well, he's in the Football Hall
Well,
of
I
Fame.
know. Yeah.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
But I mean, it was legit. I was like,
Oh,
wow.
he was good. Oh,
Okay,
really
go
good.
ahead, Steve Young, because I was young.
And he waited like 9 years to get a chance to play behind after Joe Montana. Like, what a wild ride.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to get off track.
No, it is weird though. I mean, if left-handed quarterbacks are weird, and I agree. I agree with myself.
Well, that's always
If
good.
you
That's
have
good. If you can reach one person,
If one person is all it takes.
if you have a left-handed golf swing, it looks pretty. If you have a left-handed baseball swing, it looks pretty.
that was-
Throwing a football looks weird from lefty.
Really?
Yeah. to
I
me,
saw
just-
someone that took it and because now with that thing, the internet,
that
you
thing.
can flip it and you can just mirror image
Yeah,
it.
I saw it with Tua.
Yeah, and someone's like, "Man, Tua has such a pretty throw," and then they switch to right hand. Like, no, it just looks like everybody else's. As soon as you flip it, it's just as good.
No thanks.
I see it the exact opposite. I go, man, that looks wonky, and then you flip it, and I'm like, oh, now he looks. Well, now look at it. It looks perfect.
I don't know. Lefty, just don't give him a weird number because that's just too much for me.
Put a left-hander in 30.
I think he
No,
wears
mine
number
is-
one. So I
Does
think
he?
you're
All
right.
right, that's
I
good.
mean,
I
I
can
don't
get behind that.
love that, but it's better.
You think
than
they would
32.
just give a quarterback number one the first day that they arrived?
That'd be
It
pretty
appears
good.
no one is wearing it right now, and I think
Nobody's
that's because
in
they
one,
want Brandon Innes to wear it as soon as he arrives.
Really?
So,
Innes is he was
Oh,
up here.
They're holding it out on.
He was
for
up
him,
here
huh?
cruising
been out here
around.
like the last 2
He's,
weeks.
he's
yeah.
been up for a while.
I love it. Can't graduate early.
Where are
but
we
just
gonna-
come-
how are we gonna get all
what
these
kind of
guys?
spring break is that? Like he's been up here for like
I-
at least 10 days.
I believe.
Yeah,
I'm not
school's just something they do.
not at liberty to discuss what's. American Heritage High School does not
permit graduating early.
permit graduating early. I'm not going to say he's maybe not attending their school anymore, but that's a possibility. Tate Martell, because this is the
You
Tate
may
Martell
tell
show.
them kick rocks.
When Tate
This
Martell,
is not the Tate Martell show.
It is.
Don't.
So
because
what'd you
Tate,
call him, the Red Dragon?
Red Viper from
Oh,
Vegas.
Red Viper.
because Tate was unable to graduate early from Bishop Gorman, he had to leave Bishop Gorman 2 weeks before enrolling early or before the end of his semester, so he could graduate from a different high school
Yeah.
and come to Ohio State.
Have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
So Prince Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper of Dorne, and then Tate Martell,
You know, the Mandalorian?
Red Viper of Vegas. Yes,
Yeah,
he's the
see,
Mandalorian.
You lost me there.
But he's the guy. He's the dude who
You know,
fights
Joel from Lost.
the head
Last of
exploder.
Us?
He's
I've
the
never
head.
seen that show either.
He's the head exploder from the mountain. Crushes his
Crushing
head.
his head. I can remember. I can't. He's not.
Raped her. You murdered her. And then he gets to never celebrate before you get in the end zone.
No, finish the job.
Leg sweep. Boom. Head explosion.
Finish the drill.
I'll
4 to
have look it
6,
up.
A to B.
Can't picture him.
Water dancing.
Competitive excellence.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The mountain has competitive excellence.
He does.
And competitive stamina.
He became a zombie. I saw actually World's Strongest Man over the weekend, and he was like doing some
He
sort of
is?
600-pound fireman carry. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Good
Didn't
for
let,
him. He was
didn't let
looking-
that zombie life
He was
slow
looking
down.
a little scared.
But
you know.
are we, listen, Birm, I mean, are we going to be able to hop? Do you do portal recruiting too, or are those guys too old for you?
I'm willing to talk to anyone who wants to talk to me.
I
About
mean, is there anybody out there, should Tegra Shabola
Zen Mahalski.
or Zen Mahalski not pan out?
There's certainly no one that you look at right now and go, that's the guy that could come in here and be the starter at Ohio
Is
State.
there anybody that could be persuaded to get into the portal? I like to think of myself as being above that, but not when we really need to get a player.
I believe in the world we currently live in, Ohio State should just send out from their official Ohio State football Twitter account a help wanted sign. Wanted. Tackles, offensive and defensive. And then go, apply within.
Do you think they could be more subtle about it?
Should have been like an April
What if
Fool's.
they
They
just
just
put up
missed their
like
chance.
a picture of like Orlando Pace and Paris Johnson?
What if they just took a
Taylor
picture of the
Decker?
full-
Could be you.
Yeah, like
Why not you?
and just like who's next?
Take a picture of the
Question.
offensive line, like lined up, but then like gray out the tackle.
No,
That
don't
one could be you.
Don't do that. That's a
We're
little,
looking for the missing piece.
That's
Your face goes here.
Apply within.
that's a little too on the nose. That's a little too much DM.
I don't think we need to play the game anymore. Let's just come right out and say it. Need tackles.
Need tackles.
if you are an elite starting tackle and you are unhappy with your current situation,
If you're a good starting tackle.
Yeah. I'll settle for good to solid to good.
If you've played right
And
tackle
maybe
before.
maybe Tegra, maybe Zen, maybe those guys end up being that. Just right now,
100%.
there's a little bit of space, and so I'm getting nervous.
So if
because,
nothing else, we want somebody to come in and push those guys.
Yes.
To make them their
competition makes you better.
best. Yes, 100%.
Because I know we're going to have really good receivers. The
Ohio
running
State-
backs look pretty. We've got like 5 running backs that I
The
don't
offense
really
is
like. I don't know how
legit.
that's going to work.
I don't know how any of it's going to work. You start talking about these young kids, they're saving number 1 for another receiver coming in, and we got.
they're
I mean,
good.
like, what do we do
They're
here?
good.
Like,
But
it's incredible.
Defensively, like I think the secondary's playing pretty well.
Yeah.
The linebackers looked even minus Tommy Eichenberg. I feel like Jordan CJ Hicks is doing some good things.
I mean, we've seen CJ a couple times in practice just trigger. I mean, he's moving downhill. I don't know if he's always going to the right spot, but he's going super fast.
It's good. We got to work on maybe
He's going super fast.
destinations. Acceleration is there. Athleticism there. And listen, he's doing a lot of good stuff. Yeah, but these guys just haven't played a ton of football yet, and so they're working through that. Sonny, they have players. End's good. Defensive tackles, I think, have played better on the line. I mean, Mike Hall healthy is pretty ridiculous.
that.
dude.
If you can have a healthy Mike Hall next to Ty Hamilton, who's more than serviceable,
How about, I think Ty's doing pretty
and if
good.
you
we get Tyleek, what do we got to
if
do?
you get Tyleek moving, that's
He's
the thing.
got to get out of his own way. He even Tyleek publicly
He made
came
some
out
plays
and
on
was like,
Saturday.
Yeah, he also missed some and then laid on the ground and grabbed his shoulder, and like other players predicted that was exactly what he was going to do. It's not a
That's not
surprise.
good.
He's talked about this publicly. I'm not like he said I've been lazy. I've been out of shape. Like it's
How do you say that?
I'm not
As long
I'm
as
not,
it's a
I'm not
pa-
saying that like
But
that's
as long
No,
as it's
yeah,
a past
as-
tense,
as a
I've
player,
been,
though.
not I have
well
been,
he's
and I
like-
am being.
But he kind of
Or I
gets
realized this is the path I was going down,
But
and
he-
I switched it this offseason.
he gets into this situation where he's asked, why haven't you been as consistently productive as you think that you should be? And he'll say, because I'm not in good shape. And he says that currently, and then so then the reporters will go back and be like, wait, you said that you're not in good shape? And he's like, no, I didn't mean now. Like, I think that he understands what it's going to take, and he's got to actually.
Maybe the want to is
I
not.
just heard. I mean, Jordan Hancock, Herbie, sitting there championing Mickey Marotti for the body change that was going on with him this offseason.
I mean,
no matter how much you're required to do, like that doesn't matter when you're like the guys who are really making the leap are the guys who are doing what they aren't required to.
So hold up. Are you telling me that some of the stuff that's optional
is not optional.
might be beneficial? Well, like
it might be beneficial.
said,
to
extra work is optional. So is
Hmm.
playing time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Production.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
It's clear, but if you can get Tyleek Williams moving like that, and you get Hero Canoe is making some progress, and he's different, just physically bigger.
He's a big dude.
And then you add in Caden McDonald and Jason Moore
And
this
then
summer.
a hero comes along with the strength to carry on.
Yeah, they say a hero can save us.
It's a song.
That's right. Bobby, he got that one over here.
Good.
We're leading him right down the right path. I think the situation at defensive tackle is more similar than dissimilar to right tackle. Like once you get past, they're going to count.
Yeah,
on
but
those
once
three.
you get past, I like the fact that there's actually
No,
good
that you can
time.
have that.
get
Yeah, no,
past,
and
yeah.
there's plenty to be said for that. I think that those top three, if you, as Burnham said, if you're getting that push from Tyleek Williams, the most consistent out of that bunch has pretty much been Ty Hamilton. I think he's the one that they trust the most.
Ty is solid
The
and very
ceiling
steady.
is undoubtedly the highest with Mike Hall Jr. There's no question about that.
Is he a junior? Is he a sophomore? Or junior?
Third year.
He's in his
Third
third year. Yeah.
We don't say freshman, sophomore, junior anymore.
Yeah, that's right. We changed
we're
it to
done.
year classifications. Yeah,
Okay.
Well, especially because you can count up to 6 now
Yeah.
with some of these guys.
maybe
so
7. Who knows?
yeah. Somebody got like their
The
ninth.
tight end at Oregon's in his 8th year.
And anyway, the point is,
Pretty
like,
wild.
we know that Ohio State wants to play more than 3 defensive tackles. So once you get past that, is there going to be a big leap from Hero Canoe? I don't
Larry
know.
said
Maybe.
he wanted to play 12 guys,
Well,
Feels like that.
I
Sometimes.
don't.
That's all he has. So
but can he play some of our DBs there?
that's the question.
Wish DB can go get their hand. in the
We
mud.
talked about it on a recent Snap Judgments. I'm a huge fan of Caden McDonald, the 2023 signee coming in this summer. Jordan Hancock's former teammate in high
It's a
school.
lot to ask guys to play up front early.
I know.
There's only one dude who I know in the last 15 years that's come in and been like an impact player year one, and that dude wore number 9, the first guy to wear 97 here. And he was playing like 90 snaps in the Big Ten Championship as a true freshman at defensive end.
He was pretty
Against
good.
Michigan. Yeah, he was very good. But even anyone else would have told you, Fick was like, I wish we weren't playing him that many snaps. That was simply due to necessity.
I would rather play the players who are the best players.
Yes.
So whatever that means, I believe Caden McDonald will be a guy that will push for playing time once he gets into campus. He's just a little different. 6'2", 325, 330 pounds, extremely quick, played fullback for his high school team, and
it's a big
not
fullback.
like out there to block, but actually running the ball. He's a different type of defensive tackle than Ohio State's had in a few years. So that's
good.
My opinion.
Okay.
But,
Well, that's a good amount of recruiting talk mixed in with our spring ball. It's been a while since we let you
Go
dive
off
into
the
it.
rails.
Into his first love.
His passion. Roster management.
That's true.
And he loves the portal even more.
Well,
Because
high
it
school
means he gets
boys
to
was
do
his
it all.
passion.
Clearly, Ohio State needs depth at offensive tackle. And the entire offensive line. There is some serious questions after 7 guys deep on the offensive line. And unfortunately,
Could even
6 of those
reduce-
guys are interior linemen.
Yeah, and
I believe Tegra Shabola is going to be a really good player at Ohio State. I think Zen Mahalski has the ability to do the same thing. He was very raw coming out of high school. Zen, as a junior in high school, was a tight end at 215 pounds.
Okay. I feel better about that now.
Yeah.
Tegra, as a junior in high school, was 360 pounds. All right, so
If they got Reed Fragel to be able to play decent tackle,
Reed Fragel played in the NFL.
Yes.
You know, you can make it happen. Tegra just needs to understand that he belongs and turn up the confidence meter just a skosh. Play a little
It's
bit
pretty
more.
hard when you're going against. I mean,
If you're getting worked all
That
day,
is the
confidence
problem.
is just getting ripped away every
That is the problem.
Every rep
if
you
you're
take.
getting worked every day by JT Tuimoloau or Kenyatta Jackson or Omar Yabor or whoever you're going up against, I get it. But at some point, I mean, didn't you guys say that
Amari's been banged up, so he wasn't.
they were basically telling the defensive lineman or saying JT can't be out there for this rep?
No, we were.
we
were advocating
Oh.
for that.
They
See,
started
look at that.
and
You
I-
guys are coming around to my way of thinking. Last
Well-
year saying Jackson shouldn't practice.
and
they started doing that with when they had Sam and all those guys, when they had some really elite defensive. The year they had 6 or 7 dudes that were,
four guys.
Yeah.
yeah, and they
Not fair.
basically didn't let them out there because you couldn't get an offensive rep, you couldn't get a passing rep in of consequence because everything was so distorted. Because
Yeah. I
There's
asked.
no actual feel of what it was going to be like.
I asked the quarterbacks about that afterwards. Like, are you allowed to just make a request that you don't have to go against? You can't do any work when JT, Jack, and Mike Hall are out there, and Donovan Jackson isn't, and Zen Mahalski's hurt. They couldn't do anything. It was we're wasting our time here.
Yeah.
It's silly. Anyway,
They got time to figure it out.
yeah.
And the transfer portal opens again in about
I
7
don't know.
weeks.
Get your countdown.
I mean, it's never closed. Just
Doesn't seem like it's actually closed. If Tank
you
Booker's
can
taking
always get in it, you just can't get out.
You're actually not supposed to be able to get in it until those windows.
Well, yeah, but you just say
You can say
All I
I'm
got to
going
do is
to be
go
in
to
there.
Twitter and say, I'm
it's like
leaving.
declaring bankruptcy.
I
yell at
declare.
Just yell it into the
I
air.
do declare
Yeah,
there's been a murder.
But I declared.
it doesn't actually work that way.
Nope.
Anyway, we hope you enjoyed our return back in here to a Monday edition in the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. It's a fun casual joint tomorrow.
I want to.
You have one
I'm
more
sorry.
thing. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
I don't want to see Birm said 14 commitments by the end of spring. Okay,
You said it
20.
right.
I know, I know,
You said it, bro.
I know, but I
already tweeted
did adjust.
Big weekend.
I'm
coming.
saying maybe 12 by the end of spring. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so if you're out
I
there
heard
and you're
double.
in the aggregator game on Instagram, I'm saying maybe 12, not 14. Don't get it twisted. Sorry. Now, please continue.
They're not going to get to the end of the show, so
Why not?
I don't know, because they're already going to be in their aggregating machine. Berm's said it, and they're quoting you. You're in trouble.
Well, maybe 12.
Too late.
You called your shot. You just got to stay
You
with it.
did.
Stick with it.
It was an accident.
Yeah,
Okay.
it means you better get to work.
I was thinking about how many mac and cheese bites I wanted to eat.
14.
And what'd you come up on?
There you go.
14. That was 14,
Right.
yeah.
But he's not pulling that back to 12. He's sticking with 14.
Yeah. Want to and gonna.
But they're not $3 tomorrow. It's the onion petals and the
The
feathers.
onion feathers. I did look it up.
Onion
It is
feathers.
onion feathers and feather sauce.
Fuck you,
so we're
sauce.
staying in the feather. We're staying in the feathers.
The feather realm?
The feather realm.
Okay, well, that's what
And they're
we'll do.
delicious.
They will be here tomorrow for $3 at Roosters. And we'll be back here next Monday as we get ready for Ohio State's spring game. Spring camp is suddenly almost over. It's hard to believe. We want it to just last forever so we can talk about ball with Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Birm, and Nicole Cox. I am Austin Ward. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week.